Hi. Hi. Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? I just want to verify that we have the audio working. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. So let's start. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our class. This is our first class coming from the holidays. I hope you had a great it was like 2 weeks that we didn't have the class. I hope you had Merry Christmas and you started uh, your days very well. We are starting the year, and it's like a new beginning. So I hope that you can practice a little bit more your English, and that you can expose to the language, uh, be it like writing or speaking or listening. Any kind of exposure to the language is good. So today we are going to talk about a new topic that we are including in our course. And I'm going to share my presentation. Okay, so I believe that you can see my screen. Just want to check. Okay, so we are here. Okay, so in case you are new to this schedule, my name is Lourdes Uzuriaga and I'm going to be your teacher for today. Remember that this is our advanced English class, so we are just going to talk in English in order to practice and kind of try to focus about thinking and trying to interact in this class in English. Okay, so today we're going to talk about basics for professional writing. Okay, so in Spanish it would be fundamentos para la escritura profesional. As I told you, my name is Lourdes Uzuriaga. I am an industrial engineer. I started as an engineer, like what I studied, but with the time I found that my passions and my purpose were more aligned to business, education and marketing. So that's why I started many projects, and now I have different businesses, not just here in Peru, but also in Panama, where I lived for 3 years. So I kind of I was exposed to the language as well because I had to work in a regional office, which was the Dell headquarters, the Latin headquarters in Panama, and I had to interact and talk and persuade, in some cases, to managers and directors in the main office, which was in the US. So that helped me to improve my language skills, and that's why I kind of feel comfortable talking and teaching this language. And also I'm going to use some of my learnings experience as examples or like additional comments to this class, so you can understand that English is not just a skill, it's something that enables you to access to new opportunities, clients, people, cultures, and all of that. So it's kind of a bit different superpower that we should practice. Okay, so today we're going to review 2 subtopics. In these lessons, we are trying to help you to be able to identify useful linguistic elements to write in English, and also to be able to start to understand the writing process. Okay, so it's 2 parts that we are going to see. So first of all, let's remember why is it important to write in English. I had 4 ideas that I want to share with you. First of all is that especially the ones who work in international businesses, which is the main sector or focus of CAMEX, you need to build trust with people that don't know about you because they live in another country. So it's kind of difficult to establish trust with someone who doesn't exist in spaces like Google, for example. I've had experiences where I was trying to look for someone and I didn't saw any related search results about that person. So it was um, kind of difficult to project myself with that person, because now that we know that Google knows it all, how could you not exist in Google, for example? Second, it helps you to communicate in different work environments. For example, if you are going to start working with a new client or supplier, even if they are not from the US, maybe they are from Europe or China, Taiwan, Singapore, Korea, this language is going to help you connect, grow together, and establish a contact miles away. So, as I told you before, this is an enable. It's also, it helps you to find the best way to communicate in different work situations, because, for example, especially about writing, there's a trend that more companies are having teams that don't live or don't work in the same place. And that's, for example, something that I saw when I work in Dell. My boss was in Panama, but my main internal clients or my external clients were in Miami, Colombia, Mexico, and Argentina, and let me remember, Guatemala. And I never knew them physically, but I learned how to detect how they were just by their voice. And that's another important emotional intelligence skill that we need. So the better we communicate, the better we understand the language, the better we can manage ourselves in professional situations. And fourth, most contents are written in English, so we are going to review some examples about this. Okay, so about creating an online presence. So this is an example that I chose to show you. For example, I Googled myself, and I was in incognito browser, so it didn't have any data about myself. And when I said, like, how would someone outside of Peru would search for me? Okay, and I put Lourdes Uzuriaga, who is, okay? And as you can see, I found some Google search results in English. So it was like kind of strange, because in some cases I created that content, but in some cases I didn't create that content. And it was just a translation about what I had in Spanish. So even with that, it was too little not much information to help someone to have a clear image or idea about me. So and I consider that I kind of take care of my online presence. Just I invite you to ask yourself, what would someone find about your in Google? And the second one was a parallel of searching the same thing, but just with one change, which is the language. Okay, so I searched cómo crear una página web, and I found that Google showed me 267 millions. And when I search for how to build a web page in English, Google found 6.9 billions results. So the difference is very big. It's like 10, it's like 15, like 30 times more information about just one topic. For example, is something that I usually do is that when I want to search something really important for me, when I want to search something really important for me, I always do it in English. When I search something, I usually start in English because it takes me less time to find what I need and then translate it in my head, or maybe with the Google Translate app, and that started in Spanish and then go to English. So just for this reason it's a enough reason to start giving more time to your English learning. Okay, so let's jump to our first subtopic. We need to identify useful linguistic elements to write in English, okay? Because every Google search starts with us writing a word, a sentence, or different words. Okay, so there are two aspects that we need to take into account. First, we need to identify the linguistic elements that will allow us to write in a more polished and clear way. And second, there are some rules, okay? I know that this part is going to be a little bit boring because this is kind of close to how we learn about Spanish as our own language, okay? But the language is not definitely is not something intuitive, because English and Spanish have differences that we need to address, and we have to be conscious about them, because we may have mistake because we don't follow some rules. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to summarize in 3 or 4 slides, like a quick summary of the rules, so we kind of understand the different parts of a sentence. Okay, uh, what are some basic elements of speech? We have to see that there are words, punctuation marks, and the use of a language. Okay, words and punctuation is kind of easier, but the use of the language is something. For example, when I have a mistake with a language, it is kind of more possible that it comes from not being conscious about the use of the language. And how can we improve that? Consuming content in English. That's the only way, because our minds are going to start to connecting the dots and trying to absorb that content to synchronize with what we already know about the language. So it's going to help to reinforce what we know or correct what we knew and it was not so clear. Okay, so here we have the first two elements. These ones are easy. So the first one is the nouns. Okay, the nouns are the words to designate names, people, animals, things, ideas, etc. And they can be in singular or plural, and they can become possessives. Okay, we're going to work in the example then. And the second is pronouns, which are the words used to replace specific nouns. Okay, the pronouns like the short way to talk about a noun. And we can replace the name Jessica for the pronoun she, for example. Okay, so here we have two examples, and I would like you to identify where is the noun and where is the pronoun in each example. Okay, so you have 3 minutes. Okay, so did you find the noun and the pronoun? Let's see the answers here. Okay, so in the first sentence, you had the cat is a great animal and it is usually preferred by cat lovers. Okay, we had two nouns there, which are cats, because it refers to the animal, and the cat lovers, which is like a term to talk about the people who loves cats. Okay, and the second sentence, you have John is a great doctor. He always help his patients. Okay, so in this case, he is a pronoun because it is the way to refer or mention John without saying his name again. Okay, and that's the same way that we uh, use it in Spanish. Okay, so here we have verbs and adjectives. So the verbs is an action or a state. Okay, they are supposed to be conjugated accordingly to the moment in which they occur. And the adjectives are the words that I use to qualify a noun. And now we know what it is a noun. Generally, they are located before the noun and they are never pluralized. And this is important because in Spanish is the other way. Okay, in Spanish we say casa roja, but in English you say red house. Tú dices roja casa. Okay, so it's important to be conscious about this change. And the other thing is that they are never pluralized. Si en español yo digo casas rojas, en inglés voy a decir red houses. Red, rojo, no tiene plural. Entonces, los adjetivos no tienen número, no tienen plural o singular. Rojo, rojo, punto. Okay, so here we have two examples, and I'm going to give you some minutes to work on this. In the first example, you have to identify the verbs, and in the second, you have to identify the adjectives. Okay, go. Okay, so how was the examples? Let's see the answers. In this case, let me switch it. Okay. Okay, in this case, I work really hard over the week. Okay, and work was the verb, and I am exhausted. You have two verbs in one sentence. Okay, it's work and am, and there you see the contraction because I am exhausted. And then for adjectives, you have there are many interesting courses at Coursera. Okay, so interesting was the adjective because it qualify the noun, which is courses. Okay, and as you can see, courses is in plural, and the verb, the adjective didn't change because adjectives don't have a number. They are never pluralized. Okay, so here we have adverbs and prepositions. We're going to jump a little bit more in the other linguistic elements, and here you have the adverbs are kind of similar to the adjectives, but in this case they qualify adjectives and verbs, okay, not the nouns. Okay, they also qualify, but just the adjectives and the noun and the verbs. They provide more information because they are kind of more specific about the degree, the frequency, the place, or the manner. Okay, and you also have the prepositions, which are the words that are used to show the relationship between a noun and a pronoun with the other words of the sentence. Sometimes the prepositions work as meaning modifiers. Okay, so take some minutes and identify the adverbs and the preposition in those two sentences. Okay, so let's see how we did it. In this case, fairly was the adverb because fairly qualifies the word good, and good is an adjective, and as an adjective it qualifies work, which is the noun. Okay, so I'm going to repeat it. Fairly is the adverb because it qualifies good. Good is an adjective because it qualifies work, and work is a noun. Okay, so in the other example, on was the preposition because it talks or it refers about a position, a place, and it says that they are already on the platform. Okay, so it established a relationship between two elements. Okay, here we have the final element, which are conjunctions and punctuation. Conjunctions help us connect words to form sentences and sentences to form clauses. Okay, they are usually classified in and, or, and but. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to identify the conjunction in the example. And then we have punctuation, which is something that we have already talked about in other classes. You know, it is about using capitalization whenever we start a sentence and finish a sentence with a punctuation mark or question mark or exclamation. Use semicolons to separate clauses or ideas and introduce a new argument, and use commas to separate elements or to introduce an idea after a conjunction. Okay, so identify the conjunction in that sentence. Just 1 minute. Okay, so in this case, the conjunction was and. Okay, so in this case, it's talking about um, different activities that they have to do, and they are um, kind of they have different elements, and in this case, they use and. ¿Qué significa y? Okay, so this is the last subtopic which we are going to amplify in other class. Okay, but I would like you to take this idea with you. Even when we write in Spanish, we don't do it perfectly from the start. Okay, so in English, it's not going to be different. So I've seen what professional writers usually advise, and they establish like a process to write formally in English and have a better way to communicate and avoid mistakes. Okay, so you have 8 steps, which we are going to review in another class. But what is most important is that you can understand that if this is for professional or business purposes, don't do it alone. Okay, just don't expect to do this in 1 hour or even one day, because as anything that we start from scratch is going to take its time, and we are going to advance in our learning curve. Okay, so sometimes you are going to feel that you run out of ideas and you don't know how to improve it more. And what I advise is that you take your time. You do it the first, do it the best you can, and then put it 3 or 4 hours, and then return and start improving what you did. Okay, so take pauses and ask for help, even with people that may not speak English very well. It is like a quality check or like a double check, because you are the one who knows what to communicate, but maybe the way that you organize the words and the ideas is not going to help you understand or make yourself clear. Okay, so just take your time and be patient. Okay, so that was the main ideas that I wanted to share with you. I don't know if you have any questions or something that I can help you. Here, okay, I'm going to put the link, a link that Camex asked me to share with you in the chat. Okay, so this is the link for the survey, the Chemex survey. Okay, so please go to this link and answer to the questions that they have, and everything is with an intention to improve the service that they are giving. Okay, before we close our class, I have an exercise for you, which is called writing a topic sentence. Okay, so I'm going to share with you something that I did that can help you start to write. Okay, so the topics is going to be about the changes that I experiment when I learn English. Okay, when I started to uh, study English, I saw some changes in how I behave and how I used to think or how I process information. So think about this. Even if you started yesterday, there must be something that changed in how you think or how you see things. Okay, so this is going to be the topic, and when you want to write about something, you have to establish the topic, and that is going to be the source of inspiration to write. Okay, and I'm going to share the controlling idea. Okay, so let's suppose that Jessica is going to talk about this idea. So she would say something like, my name is Jessica. I am a student. When I started to learn English, I advanced fast because I was very curious about discovering what I was singing, pop music, beyond just imitating funny sounds. Okay, so take 1 or 2 minutes and see that in this paragraph we have used many linguistic elements that we studied in this class, and that is going to help you order your ideas and how you write. Okay, so I'm very sure that we have at least one noun, pronoun, a verb, an adjective, and an adverb. Okay, so it's going to be for you, this is going to be your homework to identify where you can see those 5 elements. Okay, and then you are going to be aware that those are the basic rules, and with that you are going to advance much faster. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for having me here and for allow me to help you with your English. Remember that we are having new topics. We are going to propose new topics so you have another different ideas to talk about and to study. So I hope you can join us next class. Okay, thank you very much and have a great week. This was Miss Lourdes, and see you next week. Goodbye.